So for me, from my side, my point of view, as someone who is in the diaspora and still keeps a close ear to the ground on what's happening back home, I think it is very, very good you created this platform so women can talk about music and also I feel women in music need to be a bit more transparent about the jobs they have and the roles they have to encourage other people to take up positions and take up space. Otherwise, it will always be men leading the way. So I'd like to say, yeah, Amanda, I definitely applaud you for that. Yeah, I think that's all I can say for now. Someone else want to say something?
Yes. I just had a question for the two artists, who Amanda and Berita. How hard is it to stay true to the genre that you're doing in terms of how South Africa moves with trends on in terms of like music? Because there's a lot of talk in people saying that while SA hip hop is dead, of which it's not. It's just something that people are not talking about, and obviously right now, Amapiano is something that um everyone is listening to it on the trends, you know. But how hard is it to capture people's attention back to the type of genres that you guys make in a space where a lot of attention goes to one genre in South Africa usually? Okay, that's a good question. I think that the question is twofold. The answer is twofold. The first part of it is it really depends on the artist. Um, I think the most powerful tool is collaboration. Um, it's always good as an artist to have your signature, to have your style. For me, I'm under the Afro soul genre, and personally, what I love doing the most is singing and playing my guitar. So I try and incorporate that into, all the music that I work on. But a couple of years ago, I opened myself up to working with DJs. And before I did that, I never understood. I never understood dance music. Um, but over the years, I've come to realize that dance music has a much bigger distribution platform than perhaps other genres generally. And I think that if you look at the current music that's coming out, even with Amapiano, it's getting stronger and stronger because there's a lot of soul, Afro soul vocalists that are contributing to the writing and the melodies, which the music would not be same if it didn't have that element. So I think tapping into the element of collaboration and also staying true to your sound and how you feel your music should be presented.
At least awakuleka chidimar. At least awaleka chidimar.
Just to add on there, I think for me, from my experience, I really, I really have felt, and I love that you added the collaboration, but not necessarily collaboration to sort of stay relevant, but just collaboration for growth. And I think the way it's been set up is that, okay, now guys, we're focusing on this, and we follow radio a lot as well, and the kind of trends that are happening. And I feel like it shouldn't be that way. And I feel a lot of people feel a lot of pressure to sort of, okay, now we're going this way, let's all go this way. But I feel you maybe just need to. It's specific to each and every artist. I think it's a personal thing. What for you? What is your mandate for you? You know what I'm saying? What are you here for? And I don't want to say the staying in your lane route is
Left sense.
not necessarily, because I don't want to say stay in your lane, because we are boxing ourselves, and music is not about that. Music is about next day, tomorrow I can come out and do a piano, or tomorrow I can do gom, tomorrow I can do this, but who am I in that? And I think it's very important to note, if you do want to be a person who sort of experiments and figures their life out and tries and does this and does that and does that, but you really do need to find an identity and a signature for yourself. For me, I found I don't like to follow trends, or I don't like to, I do what I feel. So if I created a song, a 1010, a dance today, that's exactly what I do. But I'm not gonna sort of say, okay, now I'm doing this because this is being done. And I feel maybe the question is not to be how do we keep relevant, but the question is to be how do you keep being better at what you do. And I think for me that's kind of the route that I've taken personally, in that, I mean, people are like, but Amanda, the vibe is doing this, why are you not doing this? I'm like, if my spirit is there, and I unfortunately I can't speak about music without speaking about the actual purpose of music for me. So again, it is dependent on what are you doing here, and do you know what you are doing here. And it's just a personal journey, and I think we should really open ourselves up to doing whatever we want to do whenever we want to do it. And the boxing of, no, but you sound like this or you do this, I think it really is a mechanism to keep us in our boxes. And that, and now you're seeing, okay, it's these artists against these artists. When you see people, we could do literally whatever we can do. Literally, we can create whatever we feel like creating at any point in time. And no one should really box themselves because of wanting to be relevant or not wanting to go with the grain or whatnot. But that's really my experience and what I am experiencing right now, especially releasing a soul album. I think I released it just now in August, towards a time where, of course, piano is picking up and it's doing its thing. And I remember I was asked this very question. So, Amanda, how do you feel about releasing a soul album right now? I'm like, because I'm releasing, this is what I want to release right now. And I'm staying true to myself, but I'm also collaborating. I'm also doing this with other people. So it's not necessarily that I'm not cognizant of what is happening in the market or in the game or right now, but I am very much aware of what kind of artist that I am. And I stay true to that always. Over to you, B. Nkosi, I'd like to bring up Professor Xavier. Your hand is up.
Thank you. I hope everybody can hear me. My question is actually coming from a producer's perspective. You guys as vocalists, I've come to realize how easy it is for vocalists to adapt to. My question, sorry, just to say, my question is also based off of the question that was asked by the previous person. It's easy as a vocalist, as a singer, to be versatile, to jump on any different type of genre and sing how you feel. From a producer's perspective, how would you guys advise producers to say, okay, guys, this is what's popular, this is what's happening, and this is what majority of the producers are producing? How then does the producer adapt and fit themselves into the trends that are happening? How do you stay true to yourself as a producer? I hope my question makes sense.
I'm sorry, Xavier. Please say your question again.
Okay. It is easy for a singer, a vocalist, a singer to adapt to the changes that come within the music industry, right? So now, coming from the perspective of a person who now creates the music for people who will be singing, rapping, or whatever onto the music, how does a producer stick true to being themselves as compared to a vocalist or a person who sings words on a song?
I think the most important thing is to be yourself and know yourself. Amanda and I spoke a lot about this afternoon. I think most of the job of being an artist, because as a producer, you are an artist. You make art, right? And also, I just need to get a sense of, as a producer, are you speaking on someone that makes beats, or are you speaking on someone that actually produces the song from start to finish? Because that's also a, a, a distinct difference between a beat maker and a producer. But I think whatever you do, it's so important to be true to yourself, to know who you are. I found that a lot of this questions are answered when you know who you are, when you know yourself. And how do you get to know yourself? You spend time with yourself, because when you're an artist, before you commune with the rest of the world, you have to commune with yourself. I think because technology moves so quickly, we're in an era now where anyone can make music, anyone can be a producer, anyone can be a beat maker, and that leaves room for anyone to come in and do their thing. And the beautiful thing as well about the music is that there's no qualifier, there's no barriers of entry to say you are good and you are not. You use Fruity Loops, no, you use Alberton or whatever you use. But the most important thing, I think, is the knowledge of self. When you know yourself, when you know who you are, even the collaborators that you get on board, even the kind of music, when you think of who perhaps can I collaborate with as a vocalist, you have a clear sense and a feeling of who should be on that track, and how should I continue to grow. I think Amanda spoke a lot about the idea that we collaborate because we want to grow. I definitely think that if you're pushing yourself to grow, you will always be finding new ways of tapping into your own sound and your own style.
And I to add on there, you need to figure out your own style. So in order to move with the times, there's always going to be a core, or in order for growth to happen, you need to figure out you need to figure out, okay, this is my sound, especially as a producer. And especially as a producer, you need to kind of figure out, like, you every producer has a specific, I don't know, man, they have a specific thing that they do, the way they do it. Maybe it's a sound, maybe it's a tone, maybe I wouldn't necessarily say it's a genre, because as a producer you should be able to be versatile, because creating is versatile and you should be able to, but as a producer, you basically, from conception, you are thinking about how a sound is supposed to make one feel. And when you choose the sounds, you're like, I'm looking for, man, it sounds like, feels like it. You kind of just, and the only way you can do that is by spending time in the booth, is by spending time on your music making. And how then, like when you were making an example of a singer being able to be versatile, being able to jump on any beat, a producer should be able to basically jump on any. Actually, I wanted to be smart here and jump on any voice, but definitely be able to create whatever comes. If your idea of igom, let's say for instance, I'll make an example of, you should be able to, if you want to be able to do different genres, what you should be doing every day is, should to be, I'm gonna make a drum beat. I'm gonna produce a piano beat. I'm gonna produce a R&B. I'm gonna make a ballad right now. You should be able to, and the only way you'd be able to find yourself is by trying and experimenting with the different genres, with different sounds, with different feels, with different BPMs, with different. So that's for me the kind of journey maybe you should be on if you are looking for growth as a producer. Not to say, okay, I am a beat maker, or I am just a drum beat maker, or just a hip hop beat maker, but I'm a producer because I'm able to envision. And that's what we do, Andy, too, when we produce and we make music. You envision what you want to hear. You envision what it is you already see or hear the finished product. So I think for me, to answer your question before I over explain, you just need to spend time and work on your craft, and you figure yourself, and then you're like, this is my stamp. This is me. and then you're able then to just fly and insert yourself in every different creation that you can think of. Yeah, over to you, B.
Yeah, that's a great answer there, Amanda. I'm not sure who else wants to come up to the floor. If you want to come up to the floor, please raise your hand so that I can see. I just want to get a sense of who else wants to contribute.
Just to throw it out there to the floor, since we are on the topic of producers, if there's any female producers on here who would love to throw in a gem or two, please do, because I feel, as we were speaking earlier, B, it's very important because we don't, and not that we don't have enough, and it's just like female instrumentalists. That's also another conversation that we need to throw out there. It's not that abeko that we don't have, it's a matter of where are they. We need to commune. I feel like we are all scattered. We are very scattered, and I think that's maybe one of the biggest points of this discussion of women in business, is that we are scattered all over the place. And what really needs to happen is for us to unite and basically mobilize, move as a unit. And I think that's when we'll see real transformation. So please, any female producers, female DJs, please come through and throw some gems, our chairman.
Absolutely, yes. We were talking earlier about just the importance as someone that's coming into the music industry now to be versatile, and also in the way that you not only sing but you can play an instrument, you can compose. I'm even like amazed. There's a lot of new artists that are singers. They sing and they rap, and I think that just brings a certain level of versatility, and it allows you to do so many things. So we definitely need to see a lot more female producers. We need them. We need women to be safer when they're in the studio. We need more female sound engineers. And that's some of the work that we're going to be doing at the Womb. We're going to be working on programs that can support upcoming and already existing female engineers and producers. Okay, Nota, I see you've got your hand raised up there.
Thank you. I'd like to ask you ladies about money. 3 questions about money. Number 1, if you had all the money in the world, what else would you be doing? Number 2, how much is enough money? And number 3, what kind of music would you make if you had Kanye West money?
Sure. Wow. I think if I had all the money in the world, I would travel all around the world and make music from different parts of the world. Like just collaborate across different cultures, and just take Africa to the world. Really take Africa to the world. That's what I would do if I had all the money in the world. How much money is enough? In terms of a figure, I don't really have a figure in mind that I could perhaps share with everyone as to how much money is enough. Yeah, I don't know, 100 million. that's a figure that I'm throwing out there. And then I think if I had money as well, outside of, traveling the world and making all my music, I would definitely pour into this initiative that I'm starting, the Women of Music business. I would pour into making sure there's programs that allow for women across the continent to, have the necessary skills to be equipped when they come into the music industry, to have the instruments, to have the production studios, equip female music managers across the continent, so that just, women can have a more sustainable impact in the music industry. I think that's what I would do.
I didn't hear. Hi, Nota. I didn't hear the first. I think I kind of lost you. But if I'm correct, what would you do if you had all the money in the world? Honestly, geez, I would stop making. Wait, English just ran away. How do I say this? I would relieve the burden of music being my livelihood. That is one of my most. Because I feel like I have come into understanding why I do music, and it's for the purpose, so the purpose of healing and uplifting people and inspiring people. And I feel like because I found my purpose, it becomes harder and harder to think business or to be crass or to be business. I understand this is what I do. Business decisions, money over everything. So it's still pretty much. It's very tricky to sort of meet. Like even when I was speaking earlier, it's so tricky to meet the business with the passion, because sometimes the business will overlap and kind of shadow what it is that you are here to do, and you kind of get sucked into the business and maybe the other side of it, which is the gimmicks of the business. So for me, that answer is I definitely take the burden off of the gift. That is exactly the first thing that I would do. And then what was the other question? It was, please just help me out, Chepi. Please just help me out here with the second question. Because I know the last one, if I had Kanye West money.
If you had Kanye, if you were a billionaire, you know what?
How much money is enough money?
How much money is enough?
Yes.
How much is enough? You know what? I love how you answered it though, because you're right. There is an inherent burden that comes with the fact that, for example, we've been in COVID now for the past 2 years, and we are certain caliber of artists. And unfortunately, another challenge we have in this country is that there's, as much as there's a lot of venue and a lot of performance opportunities, there is not enough that honor the kind of craft that we do and how we want to present it to the world. And as a result, as much as there's a lot of opportunity to make money, not all money is the right money for us. Not all money is clean money. So I think definitely having to constantly worry about how much money you're making, all the responsibilities that you have. Sometimes it messes up with the music. Sometimes you want to almost disappear and just focus on, because when you work on yourself, the deeper you go into your spirit and work on your purpose, the more that you can do. Guys, I envy Adele. Adele makes that kind of money. She's able to disappear for 5 years and come back and give us music that is truly from her soul. And I think also what's painful is that there's no difference between me and Adele. There's no difference between Amanda and Adele. Like, in terms of, if you look at the quality of soul music that we make, the only difference is, Tina, geographically, where we are from and the color of our skin. Because what I began to see as well is that when it gets to a certain level, especially with the commercialization of music, there's a lot of things that come into play as to how many records you can sell. And also just the fact that I know Adele, with her first album in 19, she sold gold. She sold, which is the entry level of being a seller. Guys, the level of work that I have done in this country and the level of work that Amanda has done, we should be sitting pretty like Adele if our music had gone gold with pounds in the UK. So unfortunately with us, regardless of selling your music as much as you possibly can and receiving the awards and the accolades, we are still we're still living. It pains me, but hand to mouth, it doesn't add up. The money and the work doesn't add up. So I fully agree with you to say if I had all the money in the world, I would relieve the pressure of my music being my income. But also, I always look at, any challenge that I face and think of opportunities. So right now, as an artist, what I'm really looking at is I've always had, outside of music, an entrepreneurial hat, and I'm in the process of developing a product, and and launching an online store. So I've realized that I'm not Adele. I'm never gonna be Adele, But I think that what I'm trying to do now is create what is called money trees. I'm trying to build sources of income that do not depend on me being on stage, on me performing, you know, and also do not take much of my time. I talked to Amanda a lot offline about creating this kind of money trees, because on the real, I don't think I need 100 million rand to live the kind of life that I would like to live. I think it's just a matter of first getting to a point of understanding, how whatever your minimum amount that you need for the month or for the year, that's money that you need to be able to make passively, not actively. That way, then you're in a space where you can have integrity. You can be able to say, yes, I will take on this work, and no, I will not take on this work. I will take the time that it needs for me to create the work that's going to heal the world without the pressure of money. So that's how I'm solving my challenge of not being Adele.
I love that analogy. Most definitely, I think we can move on to another speaker, but most definitely, I think just to add, in case we don't have a chance to go back to that, in terms of creating revenue streams, I think as artists, we always, because we're thinking just entertainment or in this box when we think about work, or when we think about making a living for ourselves, or making multiple income streams. And I remember when we were having this conversation about think outside, because we focus, we're very narrow-minded in that regard. So when you're going to be thinking, okay, I need endorsements, I need this. You are a human being, and you are a more than an artist. So Suze Tlingela, don't think of yourself just in this little box that is the industry and what it is that you can achieve here. But it is definitely a very big note to note. It is very important to be able to do whatever your heart desires, but it's very important to be able to provide for yourself. And unfortunately, at this very moment, the biggest income stream of an artist is that's not based on brands or whatnot. It's performances and royalties, but not so much. But yeah, so we really need to look at, okay, and start weighing things and start thinking outside the box. And I love that you mentioned that it has nothing to do with music. Yeah, so we sort of just need to start thinking outside of this bubble, which is the entertainment. So handing over to you, B, for our next speaker.
Yes. Guys, if only you knew. So, just on a side note, my husband is helping me manage this space. So, upale amagama pansi of women that need to come up on the floor. So, um, eh, it's my first time on the space. So, for today only, I'll let him, assist me in this manner. I believe Kate, advisor Kate, you can come up to the floor.
Thank you, Sis Berita, for hosting this session.
I honestly, I'm just going to be honest, I'm coming from a space of just a consumer and a lover of music. I'm not in this music space in any way. I just appreciate good music. I appreciate the talent that we have in this country, especially music that comes from the likes of you and Usis Amanda Black. I also just wanted to just say, as someone who passionately loves music and really believes in the one day, really, you and many others getting to become Adele's way to, I really also want to commend you in really staying true to your craft, really staying true to, your sound and your signature. I really, really enjoy, um, Mrs. Amanda's current release, the Mnyama album. I can't stop listening to it. And I'm just also wondering that, I was just also wondering while I was listening to you and talking about the finances and all the money that comes with, staying true to your sound and not going with the, what do you call it? Not going with the trend. And Mama Piano is very hot right now. Almost every other day a new song in the genre is being released. And all our events are literally being pushed by Ama Piano. So I just also wanted to find out if Sis Amanda doesn't mind sharing how the album is doing in terms of sales, because I really believe it's a very holistic album in terms of the sound of Afro pop or an R&B soul. And so I just wanted to also just find out from you also, Sis B, in terms of your sales and, how Amapiano is literally just over and surpassing all the other genres now, how you're also doing in terms of your sales. And we're really, I don't think we're doing enough justice to you ladies and your genre and just all other genres apart from Amapiano that are being released currently. But yeah, I just also wanted to just speak as a fan and as a lover of music, and just say I really commend you for that, for really staying true to your craft. I also just wanted to mention when you also spoke about other vocalists and how easy it is for them to also, penetrate into other genres. I was listening to Abalele, that and where King Gabza Desmo featured Ami Faku. Ami Faku is also in the same genre and in the same space as you ladies. But one thing about her also is she I don't think we can say she's an Amapiano artist just because she collaborated with an Amapiano DJ or an Amapiano producer. She still stayed true to her sound and her voice, and we can still hear her signature sound. And I still would just like to encourage you that if you can see an opportunity where you can penetrate and collaborate with other artists, allow yourselves to really also just get into that space and use those opportunities, because I really believe that, or I strongly believe that you will be able to still keep your sound and will still be able to appreciate you and the value that you bring to the different genres, because you have done the work and you have really set that tone of really proving to us that you're worthy of being in the space. Thank you. Wow, thank you so much, Kate. Thank you. I feel you. I feel you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much, just for sharing your advice and also for sharing, you know, your thoughts as a music lover. I think it's beautiful to hear from you. As a fan, it's so beautiful to hear, and it's so beautiful to have your support. So thank you so much. Um, in terms of sales, so I definitely think that over the years, from my end, I've had my fair share of great sales. I have some, I have a gold selling album. I have some platinum singles on my belt, and not able to pinpoint to numbers, you know. But what I would like to say is that, sorry. What I would like to say is that going forward as well, I don't see Mapiano as a hindrance. I think the fact that Mapiano is the biggest genre right now is the biggest opportunity, because when someone what's happening right now in the world is that people are opening up their minds to the South African palette and South African music. So what that does is that it makes people go and discover all the kind of music that exists. So, for example, you were speaking about Ami Faku and her collaborating with Gabsa. That is a big win because a lot of the people that listen to Ami listen to Amanda and listen to me. So when someone goes and loves that song and they're from wherever in the world, they're from the UK, all of a sudden now they go into Ami's Spotify or Apple Music, and all of a sudden now they discover all of us, and also just the ability of Amapiano to bring out new beautiful vocalists like Obuhle. That's one that I can think of from the top of my head. So I definitely think that there's a lot of space, and there's definitely going to be a lot more collaboration that is coming up. That is for sure. Over to you, Amish.
Thanks, Kate, for the message, man, and I appreciate it so much because I can hear it comes from a place of concern, but also just because you're a love of music, so I appreciate that a lot. So I will just speak on the. For me, I won't obviously talk about sales per se, but in terms of me dropping during a time where dropping a soul album during a time where piano is the life. I want to always note that we, and Berita said it, our palette, in that there's something for everybody. There are people who don't listen to piano just because the world, or rather what's happening, the attention right now. A couple of years ago, I think even before my time, it was Afro Soul. Even actually when I came through with
You're so right.
It was Afro Soul that was the life. It was, you know what I'm saying? It was Musa, Ruby Malika,
Zahara,
Zahara. It was, yeah. So there was I think it just goes to show, not necessarily that, okay, now it's the chance for this, or now it's the chance for this, but it's really, this is what we have. It really is I think a perception thing that's needed, because it really does hinder artists from being their true selves. Because now the question begs to say, are we all now going to jump on Amapiano songs? Do you understand? Is that because how then do we, and not to say no one must experiment. Now I'm putting into perspective of, if every one of us at this present moment, there's so many artists in this country. There's so many artists who do soul R&B. There's so many artists that are overlooked, just to note that part, because of the nature of the industry of putting, basically, it's what we hear on radio. And what we don't hear on radio is not it. And I feel, Guti, for us, we need to start maybe embracing all our different genres, all our different offerings, from all different sounds. That even in piano, and I love it how versatile it is. Even in piano, there's the soul, and then there's the kung kung kung. You know what I'm saying? So it is it opens up. There's different artists. There's Kamumpela, there's Obushe, there's So even in Gom, you had Oshasha, you had you had a variety. You had babes. So it's always, even in the genre that's popping. Hip hop was popping when we were just, and so even in that, there's different variety in those genres. So I really think maybe it's a perception change for us, to not, especially to also relieve the pressure of artists just to be part of. Masiyeke lando ka, I want to be part of. Wanting to grow and wanting to experiment and wanting to open up yourself to different genres and different sounds and different ways of offering your talent, which we have seen, which so many artists that have lended their voices, lended their soul, lended their lyricism. Even we have we have lyricists, rappers that are jumping on drum, rappers that are jumping on piano, and you see they are offering what they are good at in that, or what their passion is. So I really think maybe we should it's very difficult to say, okay, guys, because there again, therein lies my question again. Are we now all, and now it is to really put into perspective how many different genres we have, how many different offerings that we have in the country, even at this present moment, that people don't know about because of the trending genre at this present time. So we really need to we can't have a situation where everyone wants to be doing the same thing, because everyone has an offering, everyone has a specific way of identifying their talent, everybody has a specific way of expressing their talent. So we really, when we talk about music, we cannot we need to, I think the nature of the business and the nature, the way it's structured, it is made so even just that it's relative to the notion of there can only be one. There can only be one woman winning. It's a myth that we need to debunk by offering by creating spaces, manditete, because maybe a huge transformation needs to happen also in the artists, in believing in what they are offering, in us supporting each other across genres, because you see how the Mapiano guys support each other. We see how the Afro Soul people support each other, differently and in isolation. But I think in order for us to be able to have a not a warped vision or indolent view, yes, a warped view of what we have to offer, and sort of just siyazehlisela. Guys, English is running away so hard. Siyazehlisela, and I really feel maybe the conversation needs to open up to how do we then link everything, to sort of say, even when this one is shining, there is this. Not because Amanda now must go jump on a piano to show that, oh, hi, we are still present in the industry. No, we are very much present, and everybody should really play to their strengths each and every time. What are you offering? Offer what you have to offer. And if your collaboration is something that's supposed to be always a part of our creation process, so that is then another way, an outlet for you personally. If you want to be part of, then you go out there and you experiment. But it definitely it shouldn't be a prerequisite for relevance to stay in the game, because there is different facets to art. And even artists, for instance, visual artists, what do we say to them? To, okay, guys, right now, charcoal is the in thing. Listen, game ngepaint yakho, game kancane ngewool yakho, game kancane, you know what I'm saying? So we also really need to de-shackle music. We really need to de-shackle art, in the way we view it, in the way we don't not for instance, when I talk about sales, I'm not in competition with anyone with my sales. I got my platinum album, my gold singles, my platinum singles, my this, my awards. For me, I don't compete with anyone, and this is not coming from a defensive point, because I really needed to note that your journey should not be in comparison to what's trending, who do you now need to beat, who do you now need to compete with. At this present moment, Umnyama is doing its own ish, and I'm just like, do you, my child, do you? And I'm very confident in my own fan base, or my own support base, that I have grown over time. And another point to note is that we're looking for fast growth through Nane, because of what we see other kids doing, right? And you're like, oh, but where am I? Where am I in the bigger scheme of things? You are where you are supposed to be. If you are working on your own growth, for instance, I'm going to talk about the coming over to digital. And B, I really want you to add there before, and Utiwe is next. I just wanted to put to remind us there. I wanted to put out there the sorry. I wanted to put out there. Shit, I'm so sorry. I just literally lost my train of thought. But really
I think I know what you're talking about. Because we've had this conversation what I'm before.
Yeah, so we need to really pay attention to that. There's so many of us who are doing so many different things, and we need to really find a way to link that, because we shouldn't be competing with each other. For me, as I was saying, when I'm talking about streams, I'm talking about, yes, coming over to digital and coming from a genre that was mostly physical based. That's where I was going. And right now, I could be comparing myself to an artist who started off on digital, who's getting extreme numbers. And I'm like, but me, where am I? But when I look back, first of all, I only had my own YouTube channel about 2 years ago, and I'm looking at my videos and I'm like, in comparison to, there is no in comparison to, because my journey has been going a specific way. I am now learning, okay, how many of my people have crossed over to digital? Majority of my people haven't even crossed over to digital because of data and also the access. We know where we are in our country, and we know the majority of people who buy our music. So the demographics and everything. So we really need to be cognizant of those things when we talk about a genre that's popping right now. Why we are not seeing those parts of the mechanism of, okay, because these type of artists were all CD selling artists, and right now we have just literally crossed over, and you find artists that started off on digital that are doing the things and that know how to do the things. So right now, I think the conversation really needs to be had there. But please, let's stop comparing each other. Every journey is different, and I think that will really help us, especially when we go back to the topic of women in business. That is really helpful into how we then come together and make proper transformation and changing the system the way it is right now, and for women, to make it better for women, to make it better for female creatives. But we definitely need to be very, very aware of the nature of the business as is. But yes, that was my point. B, please, I need you to add on there before we let Tio come on the podium. We touch on the physical versus streaming world streaming that we now have just come into.
I remember, yes. First of all, I just want to say you've said amazing, like you've just given us so much wisdom and so much perspective in terms of this topic. I want to zero in on something before, and I'm gonna try and be quick because guys, gonna list. There's still Azola, Tiwe, Andiles had his hand up the longest. There's a lot of people that want to speak, but I want to speak on two things. The one thing you spoke about, Amanda, that's very important. You spoke about a fan base. What happens sometimes is that when there's a big genre of amapiano, there's a lot of people that are fans of the amapiano genre. And when there's so many artists then don't get a chance to develop their own particular fan bases. I think that at this point, you spoke about Afro Soul having its time. What I think, when it comes to each artist, the most important thing is your fans. If there's even this thing called the 1,000 fan theory, and I don't know it well enough, but I've heard that if you've got 1,000 people that love you absolutely, that are willing to come to all your shows, they're willing to pay the premium price for you, then you can have a satisfying career as an artist. If you've got 1,000 people that are paying you 10,000 rands each, that is 100,000 rands. Whereas you can have an artist that's doing well but hasn't really necessarily, especially what I noticed is radio. I'm so glad. I love radio, and I see there's a couple of people from radio, but I'm so glad that right now we've come to a point where there's other touch points outside of radio. Because when it comes to radio, radio, unfortunately, you could have a number one song on radio, but that doesn't mean that you've got fans from radio. That's one thing that I've noticed. You would be an artist that has all these number one songs, but when it comes to now fill up a venue, you can't fill up a venue because those people that are listening to that radio station, they're not fans of the artist, they are fans of the radio station. So I think the most important thing is to build and educate our fans. And I just said when I was calculating, there 1,000 fans giving you 10,000 rands each is 10 million rand, and you as an artist providing value.
Yeah,
so I think uyayibona? And I think that's the direction that we need to go. For us, especially, I come from a physical era. When I first started, when I put out Thando Lwethu, there was no iTunes, there was no digital. So now most of my audience, will not convert as quickly to digital as an artist efika manje. Efika vele, for example, amapiano it's a digital genre, and it goes back to the distribution of music. So I don't want to talk any further because we have a lot of people that need to speak. I'm going to go straight to, I'm sorry, Nzoqala Azola, then I'll go to Tiwe, then I'll go to Andile. So those three, I think one after the other. Azola, over to you.
Hi, thank you so much for accepting my request. Dung Azola, I think I have to introduce myself. I am from East London and I am a composer, so ndibhala umculo. And I also have quite a number of songs out on the music streams. But I have been listening through of the conversation throughout from Amanda and Berita. But Mitunana, I have to emphasize that there is no union in the community of women in music. I do not see any other musicians at events, just even local events. Let's say at what's this event now that Shims is doing? There's Kunye, there's You Are Home. Simple events, and even if we are there, Sitibana, Asiplendi, there is no union. I think to me, it's a problem, and that is what the DJs are getting right. And I'm so grateful that I am on this community that the DJs are getting it right. You'll get your coffees, you'll get your napas, you'll get your kususas, name them, but they are together wherever they are. And when they release a song, abo Zex1 abo Kasango, they promote each other. It's because bayazana. I'm so sorry for speaking this closer for the people who don't understand, but bayazana and bangubene, they are like they've got a click. I want to again emphasize the only person I know very closely in the music industry as a female vocalist is Kenzie. That's the only person I've and Mhlambi Notiwe through Citizen Deep, but not personally. Can we kind of break the let's try not complicate things and say maybe if I did piano things would be better. If I whatever masazane, let's try to know each other, because the fact that I even have to introduce myself sometimes, because I should have been known at least by EPs as people who are in no I don't want to say the same league, but siyasebenzisana bethunana. Umbona umntu. I was very hurt by this, actually. I think I have to bring this up. Monique Bingham knew me more than the people in my own country. Monique Bingham. A whole Monique Bingham. Guys, like, what is happening? Let's expose ourselves. Go to those little gigs, those little gatherings. Isn't like Abraham, is who's euphonic, is like Ezo Shimza, Ezo Bani. Just by and even when we get there, can we please I'm gonna actually like cry about this, because you come to someone and bayakuvala bethunana. It's like they know you, but then they'd rather speak to the DJ, the well-known DJ. And okay, that's all I wanted to say, but let's get to know each other as vocalists. There is really nothing deep about this. Female vocalists, that is. Leave the DJs, leave the male vocalists. They are doing well on their own. But female vocalists, guys, as it...
I hear you, Azola. I hear you, Diakuva, and I feel your pain. And also, you know, we're here today, the women of music business, because this is what we're trying to build. We're trying to build a community of women that come together, that network, that share information, that share their pain bodies, because we're better together, we're better as a community. But the reality is that in all this work that we're doing, and we're going to continue to do, the reality is that when there are egos when it comes to the music. Artists generally have an ego. For you to be able to create the work you do and build what you build, you need to have an ego, and you need to use that ego to protect yourself. So you are never going to be in control of who knows you or who doesn't know you. You're never going to be in control of whether someone who is famous or not as famous as you, we are quasi. When it comes to the music industry, and when you go into these spaces where you're around people, the best thing to do is to show up as the best version of yourself. Be yourself. Impact people as yourself. And like, you uzokubeka inhliziyo, sisithetha ngesixhosa. Uzokubeka inhliziyo if you're going to look for, and I don't want to say that you're looking for validation when you go to other women or other female musicians, but you know what has helped me, and I am one person who I maintain a lot of relationships with women in the music industry. It's something that I've always done offline. I don't even post about the conversations that I have with women. I am someone that any woman can come to me at any point, whether that woman is perhaps upcoming or has been in the industry, or I don't look at someone in terms of what success they've had and what success they haven't had. You know, I look at us as all on the journey to be the better versions of ourselves. So this is what we're building at the womb. But I also want to say, and want to be very clear to you, to say you're not going to find egos are at play when it comes to the music industry, but we are demystifying that at the womb by coming together, and that is why we're here today.
I love it. And I love how you responded to that. I think also I must emphasize that and the egos abantu, but the only thing that hurts me is that asincedisani. I'm not hurt that Utiwe doesn't know me at face. Amanda angandazi okanye ubani akandazi, but asincedisani. And the unity that the males in the industry have is incredible.
We are starting today. Yabona namhlanje.
Yeah.
We are starting today. Yes. Drop your number in my DMs. Let's be in touch. We're building a community. We're building something. We might be having a conversation right now, but the womb is actually an existing registered NGO. There's a lot of work that we want to do, and I want to hear from you. I want to hear outside of this conversation what ideas you have that can benefit women that are in the industry, because we need each other. I'm just going to rush now and go to Tiwe.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Tiwe, over to you.
Hi, ladies. Great space, B, for the first time. Welcome. Broke the virginity. You're doing a great job. Well, I've got quite a few things to say because I've been holding. So please, just bear with me. First of all, the Kanye money, Nota, if you have it, can you please put it into initiatives like these ones? because funding is a serious problem for these initiatives. It's a serious struggle. We depend on government, and government, they postpone and postpone and postpone results and whatnot. So basically, and corporate is not so willing because they don't see value in things like these. So, Mina, honestly speaking, if for example, if there's people in this space that are in a position to assist organizations such as these, please, still imagine. And then secondly, with regards to the comparison between Amapiano and other genres, yeah, I'm kind of like taking back to where the conversation was a bit about, I think about 30 minutes ago. So basically, firstly, some genres are more expensive to make than others. Some genres are more expensive to sell than others. And simple example, with Amapiano, for example, you're able to get into studio, program whatever, put it out. I don't know the whole setup, but it's a bit easier to put out Amapiano. Whereas, for example, Upi or Amanda goes into studio. It's a live music. It's a live music setup that they have. You know what I mean? Where in order for you to go on the road and start promoting the music, there's a band that needs to be paid. That band needs to be accommodated. That band needs to be transported. So there are all these other costs that come into play. But the beauty about it is that, the people that consume the type of music that you guys are making are people that are still willing to spend. Because when you come to an event like Makufe, or you go to the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz and whatnot, those people are willing to pay money, like a whole lot of money, to attend such shows. So it's for me, I feel like it's never gonna. It's what it doesn't matter what genre is popular at what point. Because every now and again there's a popular genre. 5 years ago it was, years before that it was a particular genre. So there are certain genres, just like gospel, that will always be there. You know what I mean? Because that's why when you have an international act, the Tony Braxton, that hasn't released music in years, coming to South Africa, she's able to sell out. The Tevin Campbell, who probably released music 20 years ago, was able to sell out because the reality is that there were people that consumed that album when it was released. So, the comparison with, I think everyone keeps comparing everything with Amapiano, and it's not a bad thing. It's the new kid on the block, so everyone is going to give it attention, and it's a beautiful genre because it's a lifestyle genre. The kids are singing along to it. It's dope. But the reality is there's a whole lot of elements that come into play with regards to all these other genres, or how other genres perform better than other genres. A few years ago, like you were saying, when Afro Soul was huge, like every single person, like for example, you had Zahara selling these, number of sales. You had Unati selling these number of sales within a short space of time because but it does not take away from the fact that people can still consume Zahara to this day. People can still consume Nati to this day. You know what I mean? But now, coming from an events producer's perspective, something else I actually want to criticize. And it's constructive criticism. Please don't hate me. But one thing as an events producer that I've realized is the accessibility of how easy. For example, it's easy for me to get a Kabza on my lineup. It's easy for me to get a Sanel musician on my lineup. But it's a bit like, for example, we are faced with COVID. It is so extreme, guys, to try and get Afro Soul artists on the lineup. Excuse my French. But it is so expensive. You know what I mean? To bring the music to the people. And now it looks like we don't have events that are actually catering to other markets. But it's just that it's impossible right now, where you are faced with, let's say, a capacity of 500 people or a capacity of 2,000 people. And then you have an artist that's quoting you 200,000 rands. And that's just their performance fee. And look, in normal times, we can pay the 200,000 rands. But right now, we are at a point where that 200,000 rand does not include transport and accommodation and your hospitality, right, and all these other additional costs, the venue, the marketing, the like every single. I mean, there's so many costs that come into play when putting together an event. So imagine now I'm trying to put together a kunye, like Uazola was suggesting. But this kunye is a bit tricky if one artist wants 200,000, the other artist wants 180,000, and the other. Do you understand? We are in like I guess it makes it a bit more difficult to take the music to the people. And at the end of the day, we live bookings or live performances has become artists' main income stream because sales are no longer a factor when it comes to like the money that you guys are making or the money that artists are making. But the pricing of artists, and I know I'm probably gonna get slaughtered this, but the pricing of artists has become ridiculous. Looking at the point where we are, you know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with knowing your worth. I'm all for knowing your worth. I'm all for people, getting paid right and whatnot. I've never been, for exploitation. But at the end of the day, we need to look at the reality. Okay, we haven't performed in over a year, close to 2 years now that we haven't had live shows, where we haven't had a live audience of, 2,000 people like the Mapiano people have been having for the past, since lockdown started. So imagine now I have to cancel an event because the people, or I have to change genres and go to my piano because I can easily get a Kabza, a Sun L, and a DJ Zindle for 150,000 rands. And we're not saying, look, like I said, we know what their costs, bands, and. But I'm just saying, Gucci, right now, the pricing of artists has become another issue of artists being accessible to potential new audience, artists being accessible to their existing audience. Next to the, to the next issue, what Azola was talking about, the collaborations that Ubi and Amanda have also spoken about. I fully support the collaborations of like the guys have been doing it. You're Back to the City, your Kunye, and all these other events that the guys are doing. You know what I mean? Like, for example, can we have a Berita and an Amanda and a Miss Prue who's on the? I'm hoping that she's gonna join. You always listening when I'm Miss Prue. You never speak. I'm daring you tonight. So can we have that lineup where you guys are putting together an event, and then let it be. Look, if it means it's a WOMP initiative. You know what I mean? Get Azola to come and perform. Let Miss Prue, be on the decks. You guys be, the guys that are bringing the bands and you're performing live. And then, it starts that small. It's not always going to start big especially because it needs a big budget. But we have to start small. And I guess I'm also understanding where Azola was coming from with regards to the lack of sisterhood or the unity, the lack of unity amongst females. There's actually more competition, like Ubi said. There's egos. There's a whole lot of competition with female artists, and that is a fact. We can't even sugarcoat it because it's like you're gonna shine on my shine, or I've got more to offer than the next person. And this is now me speaking from an administrator's perspective, me speaking from an artist's perspective, as well as an events producer's perspective. There's a lot of competition within female artists, and it doesn't have to be there. And I think it's also fueled by the media. It's fueled by society because they're always pinning female artists against each other. You'll have somebody saying who's better between Berita, like for Berita, retweet for Amanda Black. That those are the kind of elements that we are facing in the industry. And I guess from our side, it's just, we just need to find a way of just fighting against those forces with action. You know what I mean? I know B is very, very supportive. Like she attends people's events. She shows up for people. So imagine if we had B I'm not putting a lot of pressure on you, B, but I know you can do it. But imagine if you had to put together something right now. You know what I mean? With all of us now that are in this space, we would show up for you because you are always showing up for us. You know what I mean? So, and lastly, let's see. No, I think I've covered all my points, but I'm going to go back to being a listener. But yeah, I basically have a lot to say. So Nota, once again, if you have those billions, please pass them through to our side so we can fund the womb, so we can fund development, so we can have more female producers.